As Triple H would say, it's time to play the game. And it is the game, the King of Jacks. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. We are here to review Alice in Borderland Season 2, Episode 2. And we start off with, of course, a flashback. Because it wouldn't be Alice in Borderland without starting with a flashback, would it? No. So we see the new King of Jacks team, and we get a look at their old life, essentially, where they are playing. They're in a band, and they seem to be, I wouldn't say a successful band, but they were in a band nonetheless. So that means that they're close. That means that the five of them have got, like, you know, they've got
chemistry.
Chemistry, aye. You know,
I was feeling Japanese Foo Fighter vibes for this.
Yeah, Japanese Foo Fighters. That could be. We don't know. Did we find out what their name was? Actually, I think their name was the name of this game.
I can't remember what the name of this game was, brother. But you know, we did the Triple H reference, and I'd have rather if it was the King of Kings, but the King of Queens will have to do for this epic game. But you know what? I actually enjoyed this.
The King of Clubs.
Is it?
Yes. How could it be the King of fucking Queens?
My bad.
How could it possibly be the King of...
It doesn't make sense.
Damn right it doesn't. It's the King of Jacks.
But no, it also doesn't make sense.
Wait, King of Jacks? Oh my god.
What was it?
King of Clubs? I said King of Jacks.
Jackie boy, right, let's get into the game though. I feel like he spent about 5 hours too long explaining the rules of the game.
No,
I don't know the name of.
I don't. It's Osmosis.
Osmosis, I did.
And I think it was good that he spent a long time talking about it, because this was quite a difficult game. A lot of the games, they kind of just pop up on the screen. You're like, alright, I get it, that's how you do it. But with this, there was like all these different rules. You have to accumulate points, but then you lose points by getting into battles. And if you're touching home base, you have infinity points. And if you touch someone while you've got infinity points, they lose 10,000 points. And 10,000 points is a lot of points, because that's how many points the team start off with. So we've got two teams in groups of 5. It is the King of Clubs team versus Arisu's team, the player team. So you get 10,000 that you have to divide between the players. You can divide it equally, or you can divide it non-equally. You can give someone pretty much all the points. You had to give a minimum of 100 points, but you could give like 4 players 100 points and give one player 9,600 points. So Arisu being the man. Oh, and by the way, if you get to 0 points, you're dead. You're dead. So yeah, don't go below 0. If you get into a game, a battle with someone, and you touch them, if you have more points, then you gain 500 from them, and they lose 500. Obviously, if they have more points, then they gain 500 from you. They get the 500, and you lose the 500. If you hold hands with someone during the game as well, you double your points. Then you can, like, 2-on-1 people. Now, I don't know if you could 2-on-2 people. He never specified that. We never seen that happen in the game either. So, but I'm assuming it would kind of work the same as it would 2-on-1.
Well, hold on. Where do you draw the line? You could do 4-on-1.
Well, he never mentioned that.
He never mentioned 2-on-2.
Yeah, but the fact that you can team up with someone, he mentioned that, so that would. He never said, oh, the 3 of you can get in a fucking group and...
But what if all 5 are linked together and see the Mr. Infinity that's touching it? What if they all just bar him? No?
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, I feel like this... It did need explaining, but I feel like it wasted about 20 minutes of the episode for me.
It didn't waste 20 minutes, man. It was about 6-7 minutes. And it was good character development. I don't know what you want, just to get straight in. Oh, let's play a game. I actually like the fact they explained the game. I like the fact that, and it built up tension. He's explaining how you get points, how you can possibly die,
you like
how you win the game.
Naked as well?
Well, I didn't really need that, to be honest, but it added something. It caught your attention. You're like, why the fuck's this guy's buttocks on screen?
I'm a soul. But Arisu, what a man. And he divides his points up, but we don't like the way he divided his points up, don't we not?
No, so Arisu decides to not split the points out equally. He gives... So basically, he says to Tatu that you're going to sit back and you're going to be on base. So you're going to touch our base, you're going to be on infinity points, therefore you don't need points. So he gives him the minimum 100. He then divided the other 9,900 up, and he decided they would play in a team. So there are 2 pairs of 2, a fast runner with a slow runner. He teamed himself up with Kiana, and he teamed up Usagi with Naragi, but since Naragi and himself are slow runners, according to him, he gave them like a massive bulk of points each, and then he gave Usagi and Kuana a small amount of points each, which was under 500. So what this meant was, with Arisu's plan, and I get what he was going for, because he felt like if you're a faster runner, you're less likely to get caught, and by teaming them up, they could always join together and combine their points to get into a battle. But with the strategy that he picked, it meant that Kuana and Usagi were only one touch away from dying at any point. If they get touched at any point, then they die. And it's not like, I know they were running together, but it's not like you're holding hands the entire time. You know, you're running beside each other. You don't know who's hiding behind a shipping container. All they have to do is turn around, tap you, and that's you done. Dead. Beat. I get Arisu's a smart guy. I do agree with his plan, but I think he should have at least gave Kuana and Usagi 600 points each and then gave himself and Naragi the rest. I agree with only giving Tata 100, because as long as he's touching base, he can't die. He can't die. But for him to give Kuana and Usagi less than 500, I think that was dumb. Especially from someone as smart as Arisu, but it works out for them at the start. The runner. There's also boxes. There's like 6 random boxes. It's like playing Call of Duty here. It's like a item box.
Wee mystery box here around the shipping containers.
You get a random amount of points. You don't know what one's worth whatever points. Now, the question I would have to ask here is, who placed these boxes in the containers? And if it was the King of Clubs team, wouldn't they know what containers to look for? Like, that's the only question I'm asking here.
Yeah, because the way these games are, like, they're revealed to be, it's almost like these keep playing these games, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because they're the dealers, so they play. This is, although they did say this was a new game, they're trying it for the first time.
Yeah, so they're trying it. Therefore, well, who would have put it?
I mean, unless it just spawned or something, I don't really know.
That could happen. I mean, there's a lot of questionable things in this universe, but then again, maybe the leader, maybe Buttocks Naked guy, he went and planted them himself and didn't tell his team. But then he would know there.
That wee bit to me kind of needs explained, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But then again, you could argue if you pick holes that everything, nothing would make sense. So we start playing the game. Arisu's team start teaming up, and they win a couple of challenges. So they get like an extra 1,000 points because they win 2 battles. They then find an item box and they take an early lead. We then get Naked Man, Kuyama. He approaches Arisu. He says that he wants to face Arisu one-on-one with everything he's got. Arisu and him touch, and Arisu wins. And it's at this point he discovers that Kuyama had 2,000 points, and Arisu comes to the conclusion that Kuyama split it up the points. He divided the points equally, and this kind of confuses Arisu, because he thinks that by doing that you're disadvantaging yourself in the game, which you could argue you are. But then Kuyama explains that, like, his teammates are like family. He doesn't value himself higher than them. He thinks his life is just important as them, so he's not going to give himself more points than he would give the rest of his team. Both teams then regroup at their respective bases. Arisu's team's the happier of the two, obviously, because they have a pretty good advantage. Whereas the King of Spades team, they're kind of like confused as to how they're losing. They kind of blame Shitara a wee bit for coming up with this game. I believe he's the one that decided to play it. It is their first time playing it, and they think that maybe they should have went with something else. But they all come up with a plan at the same time, and we don't get revealed what that plan is, but all 4 of them decide that they're essentially, on the count of 3, going to come up with an idea that they have to get themselves in front in the game. And when they get to 1, 2, 3, the countdown, we just kind of cut away. We go back to the player team's base. We see Tata. He's still holding the base. He's infinity points while the rest of his team are out looking for the boxes. And then all of a sudden, we get the 4 men from Kuyama's team, and they approach the player's base. All 4 of them are looking at Tata. Tata is telling them not to come because he's got infinity points, and him touching any of these 4 guys will lead to their death. However, It seems to be like a strategic thing that they're doing here, because they kind of line up and they get them at every different angle. So the 4 of them charge at the base and they all reach out to touch the base. 3 of them make it. 1 of them doesn't. We see Tata sticking his hand out to touch the player, and the unlucky dealer or player, whatever that gets caught, is Kiyama's best friend, Shitara. Shitara can't believe that Tata picked him, but it wasn't personal. Tata just had to pick somebody to stop them from reaching the base. He then has a heartfelt goodbye with Kiyama. Kiyama says that he was his best friend and that he will appreciate what he done for them today. And then Shitara tells Kiyama that they better win this game, because if he died for nothing, he will kick his ass in the afterlife. And then big laser comes out from the sky. Boom, Shitara is dead. He gets eliminated. So Tata gains the 10,000 points that he got from touching Shitara. So that takes the players 10,000 points higher. But then they lose 30,000 points because the other 3 players from the dealer team managed to touch base and get 10,000 points. So, albeit the dealer have lost a player, they now have a huge advantage in terms of points, and they lead massively in this game. They then carry their fallen player back to the base. And it is sad that he died or whatever, so, but that's the sacrifice that he essentially made, because they were going to lose. I wouldn't say it was game over for them. They had a lot of time. They could have kept playing battles. There was lots of points boxes to find. It did seem a bit premature, in my opinion, for them to do something that risky. I think that's something that you would kind of do towards the end, but then again, it wouldn't make a lot of sense, because if you leave it too late, perhaps the entire player team could be back at the base. And if you have all 5 players then touching base, then it would be pretty impossible for the enemies to get any points. So maybe they thought they had to do this before it got to like the dying stages of the game. That could have been the game plan. But yeah, the dealers end up having a lead by about, I think it's like 4,000 points, but then they get into some battles. They end up winning the battles. We get Kiyama. He confronts Arisu in one of the containers. They start talking about the game. And then they take like a massive lead. They get like a 12,000 point lead. And at this stage, is like, how can Arisu's team possibly even claw back this advantage that the King of Clubs has? And then we see Tata get blamed by Naragi. Naragi says that he's useless and that he couldn't even stop them from touching base, and he says that they're going to lose all because of Tata. But it seems like they come up with a plan, so it's a last ditch plan. They confront the King of Spades at their team base. Isagi leads one of their members on like basically a goose chase around like on top of the containers, man. She's outrunning them and basically leading them away so they can get one less member at their base. But at this point, Usagi's on less than 500 points, so if she gets touched, it will be game over. But she manages to jump from like one shipping container to the other, so she avoids contact, and the other guy knocks himself out. Then at the other base, at the King of Jack's base, they're all touching the base, so it's pretty much impossible here for them to do anything. But Kuana manages to get into a fight with one of the other members. Then we see Arisu. He's running towards base, but he gets touched by Kiyama, and we all think Arisu's dead because he doesn't have 10,000 points. But it turns out that Arisu was not in the game because he was out of commission. Because every time you get tagged, every time you do a battle, you're out of commission and you have to retouch base before you're active again in the game. So Arisu never reactivated himself, so he was currently inactive. Therefore, Kiyama gets a shock. That's the rules. If you touch an inactive player who's out of commission, you get like an electric shock. So Kiyama gets a shock, and this takes him off his base. And then we see Naragi run up, and he spits blood in the face of the woman from the King of Spades team, and this allows him to touch base. So this gets him 10,000 points. Naragi now gets them a lot closer, but they still need another 10,000 points. They're still 2,000 points behind, and we see Kiana, she's about to run to the base, but she kind of takes her time, and then like one of the karate guys from the King of Spades team like kicks her, and she doesn't make it in time. Then the woman manages to place her hand back on the base, and it was a good try from Arisu's team, but at this stage it looks like they're beat, because they've tried this plan once, it's not going to work again, and the King of Spades team basically just say that they're going to camp at their base and they're not going to move, and therefore, you know, they can't really lose now, because all of them are just going to sit back, they're not going to leave base, they're just going to continue to touch base, and that means that essentially, yeah, they can't lose. If they just stay back at base, it's pretty much impossible for the King of Spades team to lose. Then we see Tata getting blamed more by Naragi. Usagi says that she can't give up. Arisu doesn't really know what to do. Tata's feeling sorry for himself. Kiana kind of just goes and sits beside a shipping container, believing she's going to die. Naragi still blames Tata. Usagi finds another points container. She taps it, but it's only worth 2,500 points. They were 3,000 behind, so they're still 500 points behind the King team. And that is it. That is all the boxes found. So there's no more points to find. The only way now to get points is to either touch your opponent or touch their base. So yeah, there's no points boxes to find, so unless they get 500 from somewhere, then they ain't going to win. However, the majority of the King of Spades team have more points, so they can't really get into battles with them, plus they won't leave their base, so it's pretty much impossible for Arisu's team to try and win. Naragi comes across Usagi. He says that he's pretty much given up and he wants them to reunite what they had going in Season 1, and this was totally a one-way thing here. We then see a flashback with Naragi getting bullied. He then says about the bullies to Usagi, he doesn't know if they hated him because he was twisted or if he became twisted because they hated him. And for me, that was definitely the quote of the episode. Great little quote. Then he goes on to say that Kiyama was right and that he has no friends, no hope to really rely on. He says that he's garbage, and then he starts attacking Usagi. I'm going to assume that he's about to rape Usagi here. He's like smashing her head off the ground. She calls it for Arisu. Naragi tells her to shut the fuck up. Then we look back at Tata. He's looking worried. The game announces that there's only 9 minutes remaining. We then see Arisu running around the shipment containers. Then Kiyama starts posing again, butt naked. It's really fucking weird. And then the camera finally pans back to Tata, who he's looking like half shocked, half as if he's given up, but like also a bit like he's got a plan. So I don't know, does Tata have a plan, or is it just guilt that he's about to get his team killed here? Even though it wasn't his fault, they came at him 4-on-1, there was nothing he could really do. He couldn't even touch both of them, he couldn't touch 2 out of the 4 because he would have to then take his hand off at the base and then he would likely die because he only had 100 points. So he done the best that he could. Plus, this is the first time that, I know it's not like outright murder, but this is the first time that Tata's actually done something that has led to someone being killed. There might be other games where if you could outperform someone, then they die at your expense, and that's one thing. But he has actually condemned Shitata, or whatever his name was, to death by touching him. So I guess it is kind of weighing heavily on him too. So I thought it was a good ending to the episode with Arisu running about like a madman. I don't know what he's doing. Is he trying to find Usagi? Is he trying to find points? He's got 9 minutes to do something. That's what we know. Kiyama's celebrating and Tata's sitting there all weird. Naragi's on top of Usagi, beating her up, beating the shit out of her. And then you've just got Kiana, who's leaning against a shipping containment, giving up, I guess. So they dedicated this whole episode to the game, and I have no problem with that because it was, like I said, it was a fun game, it was a complicated game, and it wasn't just as if like it was playing the game non-stop. There was also a lot of dialogue in here, there was a lot of character development too. So yeah, I think it was a really good episode. It's kind of weird that the game started the episode and it finished the episode, yet the game's still not finished. So yeah, I have no complaints. So I enjoyed this game, I enjoyed this episode. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Thought it was really good, so yeah, I guess we'll find out, guys, in episode 3 whether Arisu can do something to save his team here. He's got 9 minutes to do it, so you better hurry the fuck up. But that's it, guys. Till next time, been Fog Entertainment. This has been your review for Alice in Borderland Season 2, Episode 2. Episode 3 review will be up probably tomorrow or later on today, depending on what time this gets uploaded at, so stay tuned for that. And there will also be some Season 2 videos coming up, content videos, theory videos, top 5 videos, ranking videos, you name it. There'll be a lot of stuff regarding Season 2 coming to the channel as well. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the content, comment down below anything you have to say, and we will be back for episode 3. But that's it, guys. Till next time, thanks for watching, and peace.